Well, good evening, and hello, and welcome to Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. I am Joy Ruffen. My work is as a leadership and style consultant, a signature style specialist, speaker, executive producer, TV host, and podcaster. It's all connected, it's all aligned. And every week I bring to you a featured guest speaker. And tonight is no exception because this lady, I'm going to give you her name and a little bit of her background. But before I bring her up, I want you to just sit back and relax and get comfortable because everything that we're going to talk about tonight, which is the power of wholeness, it's going to evolve and revolve around spirituality, which is my domain, and I bet it's yours as well. This is Dr. Verlaine Crawford. Now, she's given me the permission to use her first name, Verlaine, and that's what I'll be calling her going forward. But she's an intuitive transformational coach. She's an author, an inspirational speaker, and the author of 5 award-winning books. And my friends, I could go on and on and on, but we have a lot to cover tonight. So you just sit back and grab whatever makes you comfortable and help me welcome our featured guest speaker tonight, Verlaine Crawford. Hello and welcome.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here with you.
I'm happy to have you here because your work absolutely excites me because you're in my camp, in my circle, and your book, The Power of Wholeness, we're going to cover a lot about it. And there's so much in your background that's fascinating. Give us a little bit of a highlight of your background and what you've done thus far.
Well, it's been an exciting time. I have had numerous opportunities to work with companies and do marketing, advertising, and public relations. And throughout it all, I was always looking for how to make it faster, right? Go forward a lot faster. And so that's a lot about where the power of wholeness came from, is this idea. So I was in high tech. I was able to be part of 2 startup companies in Silicon Valley. I was the first woman executive to do that. And then I've done, everything. Real estate. I was the director of sales for the lodge at Pebble Beach, which is a gorgeous resort with a 17-mile drive and all on Pebble Beach. And I worked on the Queen Mary project and at Capitol Records. So it's been on and on.
You know, Verlaine, I'm happy. I wanted you to share that rather than me because the title of your book, The Power of Wholeness, well, you've done a little bit of everything and you've done it so extremely well, excelled in it. So I can get why this book came to you. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that because everything that we're going to talk about tonight is going to evolve around the spirituality of us. So let's start off with, you are the co-creator of your own reality. How did you, and share with us a little bit about that?
Well, it started when I was 22, and I met a man who told me, make a list of the things you wanted and the date by which they would happen. Everything came true on the list. I was modeling. Found a place to live in that I could afford at the beach, and I got the job at Capitol Records. Everything was so fantastic that I told everyone, make a list, make a list. So here at 22, I'm thinking, this is it. Our thoughts create our reality. But as I started talking about it, to other people, sometimes their list didn't work completely. Their goals and everything didn't come fully apparent, or it took a very long time. And so that's where I started to research and made it my goal to find out what stops us.
Now that's fascinating. And I love the way that you explain that because what I was about to ask you, and you qualified it, but I want more information. You made a list, and that list, most everything, or maybe everything, came true for you. So let's go to the missing key to realizing the blocks maybe and the transformational that doesn't happen for people. Why? Let's talk a wee bit about that because I'm sure it sounds good and we all like that. Make a list. But what was exceptional about you making the list and other people making the list and it doesn't come true?
Well, the first thing I would say is beginner's luck, right? You go to Vegas, you win. I didn't have any blocks on the things. I put things that I thought were ridiculous on the list. And so it all was like a treasure hunt. You have to follow the leads that come and the intuitive leads that come. Sometimes the person that said, I had on there to go on TV. And this guy called me up and said, how would you like to be on TV? I hadn't been on TV, but it was a dating game. And he says, oh, and you don't get paid, but you get to go to Magic Castle for dinner. And I'd always wanted to go there. And that's the other thing about the creating of the list and allowing it to come from your heart is that God knows the desires of your heart. And so it flows. I went to Capitol Records for a completely different reason. I went because I thought I was following a lead about being in a play. And they said, "Why do you want to be an actress?" And without even thinking, I said, "Well, I really don't want to be an actress. I want to be a writer." And they said, "Oh," and came back with the head of Capitol Records magazine and said, "How would you like to be editor on the magazine?" So it's fascinating. So the reason that I found out that we don't always get what we want,
Yes, yes.
that there's a part of us stopping us. It isn't God stopping us. God doesn't want to stop us. It isn't. It's the angels are there to help us. In fact, in my own experience, I'm talking to my guide, and he says, we stand there next to you, waiting for you to ask
Yes.
for something, right? We twiddle our thumbs and we wait and we wait, and then finally you ask for something, and he says, "We get busy. We set up that you're going to see this sign at the ice cream shop. We get people calling you. We get all this stuff set up, and then you say." But that can't happen. Huh? They have to say, "Stop everything." We have free will, and the free will can create and it also can stop. Okay. So we have all these different parts of us that have been created over the years from the time we're little kids. We hear what people are saying to us. Every sentence can become a belief. Okay. One was example is my mom used to say, "Don't go out in the rain, you'll catch colds." So here I am one day when I was in my 20s and I went outside. It was raining. By the time I got to the car, I had a sore throat. And I said, "This is ridiculous. What are we talking about? I can't get a sore throat that fast." And then I remembered what she said. And I said, "Okay, what if I can respect my mother and I can, realize that I shouldn't be out in the rain that much
Yes.
and I don't have to get sick?"
Yes, 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 yes. Listen, I received all that. And let me back you up just a wee bit because you gave some priceless information there. You mentioned like it was like a treasure hunt for you and also like beginner's luck. I received that. You also mentioned that connecting the heart and soul. You didn't say soul, but I'm saying heart and soul connecting, which I use all the time. But you also mentioned something that's very key here, that we all have the guidance and we all have the guides around and with us at all times. How young and what age were you when you absolutely embraced and accepted that as a fact for you?
I would definitely say at 22, when I got that information and I saw how
Ah,
that was working. But I really feel I had guidance as a child, and I felt like I had my invisible friends. And my mom used to tease me and say, "You can see leaves on trees when the trees are bare," which I guess was the fact that I could see things that, was not what other people saw. So I didn't know that, but she said things that kind of gave me that lead. And so that's the intuitive part of me or the psychic part of me that I can easily help people so much more than I might if I didn't have that additional talent, let's say.
I I love that. And here's what I think, and tell me if I think we all have it. Some of us are more keenly aware of it and we are
Yes.
in sync with it, or we're seeking it and we know that it's there, and others have no clue. Now, let's talk about the missing key to release the blocks. If there is that type of onset of not knowing and not being aware that you do have guides and guidance and angels, whatever verbiage you choose to use around you, how do we get to unleashing the blocks if they're there? I know it's different, Verlaine, for each and every one. It's contingent upon a lot of different variables. But what are some of the keys to help one release blocks if they're there?
Well, what I had the good fortune to do with the help of the guides was come up with an integration technique. And I call
Yes.
it infusion integration. And why it's called infusion is I looked it up in the dictionary and it says when spirit enters form. And I
Yeah.
love that because it's clearing and shifting the energy. We've seen a lot of the different books that people have presented and workshops. They talk about raising your vibrational frequency. They talk
Yes.
about the secret and the that you're going to get anything you want through many different things, the power of
Right.
intention, the power of now,
Uh-huh.
et cetera, et cetera. The situation is this: we hold on to these beliefs, and there's parts of us, I think I call them our subpersonalities, and I call them
Mm-hmm.
the keepers of our beliefs. They keep our beliefs for us, and they believe in them, and they go off in a little corner, and their job is to prove it. So let's say, like another thing my mom said, all the good men are married or buried.
I never heard
And
that one.
my mom was full of good stuff for me.
That's a
So
good one. I got to remember that one.
So if you went into a party, let's say, and you're a single lady, guess what? With that belief there, you will not see any single men that are great. This is the thing, it stops your opportunity. And so the way I look at it is we like to think of ourselves as captain of our ship, master of our fate, right? But I
Yes,
see
yes.
it as a pirate ship, and the crew is planning mutiny. And so you've got parts of you that are saying, let's go this way.